Good evening, everybody. It is February 22nd, 2022. It is a Sunday night here in Manhattan. But tonight we're going to be talking about the futures market. Futures just opened up at, I think, around 30 minutes ago. Futures are deep red, but well off the lows. The NASDAQ 100 futures contract, the NQ, the S&P 500 E-minis, ES, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, YM, are all under a little bit of pressure, but well off the lows. So we'll see if we can go red to green and actually open up green throughout the day. We've been having unbelievable amount of news come out over the weekend about the Russia situation. It looks like unanimously world leaders have decided to remove Russia from the SWIFT system. So we'll talk about all of that and more tonight on the stream as we head uptown towards Grand Central Station. I see Mets fan 1023 is here. Says, what's happening? Good to see you. Jamie Price says, good evening, Tom. The one and only Charlie Richardson is here. Says, hey, Tom. Savi, what's up? Says, good evening, Tom and everybody. And Dutchman is here. Says, good evening. Solo 401. Good to see everybody. I hope everybody had a good Sunday. It's still a little bit cold in New York City, but it's supposed to warm up a little bit as the week progresses. But if you take a look at the very top of the Empire State Building, we're actually all lit up blue for tonight. Hemp Lord is here, says, what's up, Tom? Stephanie says hi. Lena Sandoval is here, says, hello, Tom and everybody. Good to see you, Lena. Says, good night, Thomas. Glad to hear you. Good to see you as well. Carol says, hello, Tom. Rob H says, I'm really interested in hearing your opinions on the Swiss bank, says Rob H. Yes, so Rob, I believe we have heard some news out of Switzerland that said they just might freeze some of the Russian assets, which is pretty interesting. And also, there's a couple of other things that are really quite bizarre. It seems like internally in Russia, it seems like everybody is not aligned with Putin's thinking. You know, there's been two major Russian oligarchs, multi-billionaires, coming out and denouncing Putin's actions. Now, they're probably just doing that because they're losing a ton of money. You know, I posted a tweet on my Twitter earlier today. The Russian stock market is getting clocked. There's now a run on the banks in Russia, so the Russian ruble is going to get hit big time tomorrow. So it seems like internally the government is not aligned, and it seems like there's pressure coming in from all angles. I see Action Kid in here. Good to see you, Action Kid. Says, yes, it's a cold night in New York City. When are you going back to Florida? Potentially soon. I'm not sure the exact date we're going to be going back. But yeah, definitely wish, we had some Miami weather here. But good to see you, Action Kid. Hope you had a great weekend so far. War Walker says, evening, Tomcat. Hope you're staying warm. Thank you, War Walker. Appreciate you. Hey. Who else we have? Mark D says, hey, brother. Just stopping by to say hi. What's up, Mark D? Alan Wilson is here. Says, good evening, everybody. Joey says, hi, Tom. Good to see you. Rob H. Dante Rose is here. Says, hey, Tom. I hope you had a good weekend. I did. Dutchman says, Tom, Sunday, fun day evening. Christina says, Tom, is the temperature dropping into the 20s tonight? It's about 57 degrees here in San Diego. I'm not sure if it's going to get that cold. It actually kind of feels a little bit warmer than yesterday, to be honest. Oh, Rob says Swift Bank, not Swiss. Yeah, so I do have dyslexia, so I always mix and jumble the words around. I am horrible with that. But yeah, the SWIFT is essentially deems Russia inoperable. And I mean, we'll see if they actually go through with it. We'll see if they actually take Russia off the SWIFT system, but it seems like they are. And that's why we're seeing in Russia essentially a run on the banks. Have you guys been seeing, I was watching a video out of Reuters today where there were lines stretching around the block in Russia of people trying to get money out of their ATMs. So this definitely isn't a good situation. I think there's going to be more widespread protest in Russia because essentially what's happening is the Western world is completely isolating Russia from society, and that's obviously not sustainable. It's obviously not sustainable, and the people of Russia are not going to stand for it, especially, if their currency is collapsing, right? I mean, the amount of wealth that has been erased from not only some major Russian oligarchs, but from just regular people has been quite staggering. I don't think we've ever seen anything like this, ever. Rob H says, I saw a few pictures of ATMs not having cash. That's concerning. Tom M says, U.S. stock futures plunge as investors weigh impact of latest Russia sanctions. Yeah, so Tom M, the interesting thing about and I posted this in the Discord, check out the NASDAQ 100 futures, check out, obviously, the E-minis and the S&P. Even though we're down, we're well off the lows. So there's a big possibility we could open down big and then rally green as we have before. But I mean, I guess we'll have to see. But the way I try to think about it is I try to look at the overall exposure that this is going to have on American equity markets. And as we were talking about yesterday, if we think about the overall amount of sales of all S&P 500 companies, Russia only makes up 0.1% of all sales in the S&P 500. So I think it'll be a little bit isolated. I think that most of the pain will come in the form of the semiconductor sector. But we already have news out of, not NVIDIA, but AMD and Intel actually cutting off all chip sales to Russia. So we'll see if they change their tune. Edson is here, says, hey, Tom. Hey, Edson, good to see you. Chris Beeman says, Tom, I saw footage of Russian tanks running out of gas. I saw those too. I saw those as well. Hey, Jason Lynn says, what do you think about the stock market for tomorrow? I think it's definitely going to be a volatile day, but there's a big possibility we could open down big red and then rally green. But we'll see. We'll see. We're good to see you. Hey, Cheryl says, hi, Tom. Which part of New York are you in? Should I worry about my retirement in the stock market? We are in the East Village, East 9th Street. In terms of your retirement, I can't really advise on your specific portfolio, but if you're concerned about it, I would definitely talk to your financial advisor. But in regards to this whole Russia situation, I think over the long term, it's actually going to be positive for U.S. equities. And the reason I say that is because, when investing in emerging markets, there's always inherent risk. And I always say the biggest inherent risk is faulty governments. So if you think about investing in China, for example.
No, don't touch her. Let her go.
Oh, sorry about that. Hold on. Hold that thought. I think all is well. So what I was saying, I think in emerging markets, there's always an inherent risk, right? And that's why when we think about the valuations or the multiples, if you're talking about price to sales, price to earnings, I really think that's why American companies always demand that premium. Because even though our government can be dysfunctional at times, it's definitely not like, living in Russia where, we're going to invade another country and cause turmoil all across the world. So I think that's why, in and of itself, American companies demand a higher premium. So, for example, I remember last year, I had a position in Alibaba. Great company, great fundamentals. But here's the thing, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, stifles innovation and growth. And now what happened with Alibaba's last 2 quarters? They fell off a cliff. I always said if Alibaba was able to play by the same rules as their American counterparts, the company would have explosive growth. So it's unfortunate But the point I'm trying to make is that I think investors all over the world are going to start to realize the safe haven or flight to safety of American equities. And I think we actually may see more fund flows out of emerging markets to the US, if that makes sense. Hey. Let me catch up on the comments here. Hey, Michelle McGraw. What's going on, Michelle McGraw? Good to see you. Michelle is our great moderator on the channel. Hope you had a good weekend. I see EBITDA is here. Hey, EBITDA. Good to see you. Jason Francis. Good to see you. EBITDA says, hope you had a good weekend, Tom. I had a really good one. I hope you had one as well. British Gray from Tampa, Florida. Good to see you. Kilo Whiskey Juliet says, good evening, Tom. Solo 401 says, East Village Pizza. I see Maria in the chat. Good to see you. Matthew P. Otto. Cheryl. Good to see you. Hope everybody's having a good one so far. Mrs. Silva, how are you? James Davidson says, good evening, everybody. Hey, Sir Pank says, greetings from Russia. It has become very scary to live here. The president threatens with nuclear weapons. This is something crazy. Wow. Well, you're more than welcome here. I think we all understand that, the Russian people are fantastic people, beautiful people. But unfortunately, there's these, crazy politicians all over the world that can sort of make a bad name for everybody. So I appreciate you being here, and I hope you stay safe. And you're more than welcome here in the chat, my friend. Henry is here. Says hello, Tom, from Naples, Florida. Whew, that sounds really good right now, Naples, Florida. Because I am freezing here. Dutchman, good to see you. Triple G says, hey, Tom, interesting point you made about emerging markets. Yeah, and look, I do have investments in emerging markets. I think it's always good to get exposure to emerging markets for a well-diversified portfolio. But the biggest risk you run is the stability and the transparency of those markets, right? And I think that's why, America has been the cream of the crop for the last 100 years, because I truly believe, even though with all the corruption we have here, we have the most transparent and fair markets for competition and everything. And I think that's why, if you look at the companies that have been created here, they're the best companies and the biggest companies in the world. So I think this will get investors thinking about emerging market risk. But the Brazilian stock market's doing really well. I think the only two markets that are positive year to date, I think maybe the UK, South Africa, as well as Brazil. So the Brazilian stock market is doing really well this year on a year-to-date gain, as well as South Africa. South Africa is doing really well. War Walker, good to see you. James Davidson says, everybody hit the like button. Appreciate it, James. The Swan is joining us from Ireland. Good to see you, The Swan. Hope you had a good Sunday. Brian says, I agree with you, Tom. The Russian people are wonderful. Thank you, Brian. Good to see you as well. Hey, Vinny Castellano is here. Good to see you, Vinny Castellano, as well as Maria Castellano. And Jay is here. Good to see you, Jay. VM King says, wow, looks amazing here. Yeah, very rarely do we sort of walk I'd say the East Village, but over the past 2 days, we've been spending a lot of time here, which is always good. Hey, Bernard Friedman is here. Good to see you. Bernard Friedman says, hey, do you think some stocks are going to go bankrupt? I think some will. I wrote an interesting piece weeks ago about zombie companies, which is sort of like a slang terminology for companies that are only really able to operate and function in the US due to artificially low interest rates. So it'll be interesting to see if interest rates actually normalize on a historical basis. Will these companies be able to service their debts? I don't know. And I think that's why, a lot of these Russell 2000 stocks have been getting hit pretty hard. Hey, Eyes Up is here. Good to see you, Eyes Up. We're on 3rd Avenue tonight. Chris Beeman, good to see you. Vinny Castellano says, Tom, I love the Lower East Side. Ed Potke is joining us from Corning, New York. Good to see you, Ed. Hope everything is well in upstate New York. Cosmo Scary, the one and only, says greetings from Madison Square Park. The Empire State Building looks beautiful tonight for NYC FC. So Cosmo, didn't NYCFC win the MLS Cup last year? I think they did. Yeah, I mean, ever since COVID happened, I haven't really been paying attention to sports all that much. Unfortunately, that's something I got to get back into. But good to see you, Cosmo. I think we're going to take a walk around
I don't know if I would use like fun.
Grand Central Terminal, Grand Central Station. Hey, Philly is here. This is threat of nuclear holocaust from Russia. Jeez, yeah. Yeah, what is everybody's thoughts on that? And I haven't been able to confirm these sources, but I did watch a clip from CNN today say that Putin is advising his nuclear sort of section of the military to be on high alert. Now, I don't know if Putin is just saying that to, rile everybody up and incite fear, or I don't know if he's being serious or not, but I was also reading some op-ed pieces over the weekend, which were quite interesting, that I was able to get a different perspective. And some people were saying that, Putin may be going through a time where he's quite literally losing his mind. And, there's some rumors circulating that he actually even has cancer. Now, these are all allegedly. I don't know if any of this is true. But if you have a dictator like that knows he's on the way out, and he really doesn't care about anybody but himself, that tends to show sociopathic tendencies. And, maybe those nuclear threats are credible. Now, that has been my concern from day one, but, because you have to think about, we're not dealing with a rationalized person, right? So that's the biggest concern that I see. But what do you guys think about that? Brian says Tom, Putin is bluffing, and it's not the first time he has threatened the United States and NATO. Interesting. Alan Wilson says, Tom, one person benefiting from Putin's actions is Justin Trudeau. Not a word anymore about him declaring martial law in Canada or his dispute with the truckers. Says Alan Wilson. Yeah, it seems like the news stories have just been cranking out like crazy. That's a good point. Ed Pocky says that sounds familiar. Cynthia Beale says, Tom, it seems like theater, but some people say Putin is flaking out. Beijing Charlie, appreciate it. James Davidson says, Tom, Putin is a complete sociopath. Hey, Leonardo's here. Good to see you, Leonardo. Western Mass Dave says, you think the threats are all talk? Wow, it's so windy. Yeah, I mean, well, let's hope it's just all talk. Let's hope. But I mean, if you think about the turn of events we've had just in the last 2 years, I think I've said it before on the stream, but I don't think anything would surprise me anymore with all of the craziness that we've been through. The Swan from Ireland says, Tom, Putin wants Ukraine. Let's see. He's going to stop at nothing until the NATO and United States back off. It's possible. But then again, if we isolate him essentially out of society, which is what's happening, there's a lot of companies, and I believe Google now came out and said they will no longer be doing any business with Russia unless all of this invasion ceases to exist. Penelope says, I agree completely, Tom. Putin has been planning this for years. It is rational in his mind, complete sociopath. Good to see you, Penelope. I hope you're well. Penelope is joining us from the one and only Tennessee. Hope you're having a good one. Chandler says, this is a distraction to what China is fixing to do in Taiwan, says Chandler. You know, that's actually been a theory that's been floating around there. And I was reading it wasn't a full-blown article in Reuters, but it was sort of like a headline that supposedly there were Chinese warships getting very, very close proximity to Taiwan. So a lot of people are speculating that since Putin made a move on the Ukraine, now it's going to be China's turn to make a move on Taiwan. I'm not too sure if that'll happen. But here's the Empire State Building that Cosmo was talking about. Looks great tonight. Hey, I see Melee is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Hey, Melee. Hope you had a good one. Pablo is here. SA199 or 1994 Chemo says, hello from Taiwan. Good to see everybody from Taiwan. Hope you're well. Jay says, I truly believe that Russian people don't want any of this, but there's nothing they can do. Yeah, I think I'm under that same sort of thought process too, Jay. I think you make a good point. You know, there's a ton of videos on Twitter about all of these mass protests that are sparking up in Russia. And I believe there was actually a couple hundred arrests as well. So it seems like it is being met with a lot of resistance. Chandler says, and we have to help Taiwan because we made an agreement with them. Yeah, so I believe we also made an agreement with the Ukraine as well, as so did the UK and Russia, that if they were to give up their weapons, that we would provide protection for them. But it doesn't seem like we're doing that. We are providing aid for them, but we are not providing direct military protection, and neither is the UK. Henry says he's just using the nukes as leverage. He will never, use nukes, as that would be suicide. You know, so that's what I think, right? But then again, you and me and everybody in the chat, we have what's called a rationalized thought process. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. We have a rationalized thought process where we would say, look, you know, if we were to use nukes on a country, that would probably mean the end of the world, right? But to a normal person like me and you that aren't complete sociopaths, you know, we'd say, okay, well, then we'll probably not go down that route. But, you know, Putin doesn't seem to be all there. So that's very, very scary when people, I guess, have nothing to lose. They're willing to do anything. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to do that, but I mean, with the way this past 2 years have gone out, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at anything. Hey, Ed Dunkel is here. What's up, Ed? Good to see you. Chandler says, and honestly, Biden is not the leader we need. Somebody like Trump, they can see the weakness in Biden, says Chandler. Interesting thought. Rob H is here. Says, Belarus will officially join Russia tomorrow in invading Ukraine. Is that true? That seems nuts. Supposedly there's supposed to be peace talks going on right now between the Ukrainian side and Russia. I heard those reports as well. Hey, Pacific Desert Raid is here. Good to see you. Barry Burst, hope you're well. Craig M says, Putin is definitely all there, and he doesn't do anything without the blessings of China. Says Craig M, good to see you. Canyon says, the leaders of the Soviet Union were more rational, it seems, says Canyon. Lockjaw says, good evening, Tom, from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Man, that makes me want to ride the skateboard again. Dang. Good to see you, Lockjaw. Hopefully everything's going well in Florida. Philly says, Tom, Russian doctrine called for tactical use of nukes when backed in a corner. That's insane. Mike Bell says, we use nukes to end war with Japan. Will he use nukes to end war with the Ukraine, says Mike Bell. I would certainly hope not. I would certainly hope not. It's very strange times we have here. Roy S. is the skateboarding guy. Maybe Union Square Skate Bro. I know, we got to bring back the skateboard, man. In due time. The weather's getting better. Well, I apologize, everybody. I didn't want to make the entire stream about the Russia-Ukraine situation, but it's a big topic. It's a big topic. It's affecting the financial markets. Also, what I'd like to add, crude futures opened up about 7%. So I like to look at ticker symbol CL, which is the light crude futures. But one of the interesting things about that is even though the futures opened up about 6% or 7%, it's been selling off. And if you want to look at the chart I posted in the Discord, it seems like any rally here is being sold down. So we'll see how the market opens up tomorrow. Would futures open up 7% in crude? Western Mass Davis is total strange times, and I've been around a bit. Hey, Patrick says markets are racking. Good to see you, Patrick. Yaz Got 66 says hello. Good to see you. We're just walking around New York on a chilly night and a windy night as well in New York City. Hey, Eyeglass Lady is joining us tonight. Says any president's first task is to protect their country. That is missing here. You can't avoid a discussion about current events because they are affecting everything. That's very true. Very true. Good to see you, Eyeglass Lady. Hope you had a great day. CC says, what time do the markets open tomorrow? So futures are open, but New York time we open for trading at 8:30. Hey, TME TV is here. What's up? Says it's been a busy, been good, busy at the Grand Ole Opry. Great to relax and watch your live stream. Hey, thank you, TME TV. It's good to see you. I think you stopped by for a bit yesterday. It's good to see you as always. Hey, Marjan Worldwide is here. How are you? Brian says Starlink is operating in Ukraine. Yeah, that is huge news. So Elon Musk did open up Starlink for the Ukrainian people, which is going to provide them some protection. Man, it's so windy here. It's going to provide them with internet services, so if there's any sort of cyber attack that brings down the Ukrainian internet, you know, they'll always have Elon Musk to back him up. EBITDA says, don't you mean 9:30? Yes, I do mean 9:30. I do mean 9:30. Good catch, EBITDA. Belarus will also allow Russia to place nukes in their territory after passing a resolution today. Man, these people are nuts, man. All for nothing, man. All for nothing, man. Tim says, good evening, Tom and everybody. Zelensky has shown himself to be a very respectable and courageous leader. I agree with that. I agree. Yeah, I mean, the whole situation is really disheartening and horrible. Because at the end of the day, it's not in war, it's not the leaders and all these politicians that suffer. It's, you know, just the average common civilians that unfortunately suffer. And think about the people that the Russians are sending to war. You know, these are 18, 19-year-old kids that have no idea what's going on. And he's sending them to their death. It's just absolutely, it's horrible. It's really, really horrible. While, you know, Putin and all the other Russian oligarchs get to hang out and just chill and kick back and relax. You know, they send the 18-year-old kids to do that stuff, man. It's sick. Eyeglass Lady says, Tom, Germany stepped up today for their country. see Eyeglass Lady. So we're on East 20th. We're gonna have to go down a side street because it's so windy. Lower East is like our troops in Afghanistan. They were just babies. They had no idea. That's a good point. It's actually a really good point. Yeah, it's very disheartening, everything that's going on. Craig M says, I think the more videos that come out of Russian troops being slaughtered, the more Putin will lose initiative and support. Chandler says, how long do you think this will last? I mean, that's really hard to say. But it's very possible that this drags out longer than you would expect. You know, what I think is probably going to happen is they may, do the peace talks, and then this may get strung along for many, many weeks. But hopefully it'll come to a very, very abrupt resolution. But then, even if it does, think about this. So even if this all comes to a close and an abrupt resolution and there's a ceasefire, do you think the global community is going to bring Putin up on charges for war crimes? Highly likely. Highly likely. And then what does that mean? So, I think Putin has done permanent damage to Russia with this, because what foreign investment is going to want to invest in Russia right now? Think about that. Who would ever in their right mind, at least from now over to the next couple of years, would invest in Russian equities? Not me. Hey, SME Media is here. Good to see you, SME Media. MCW UPS1 says, I think it can only be stopped from within the Kremlin's walls. It's a good thought there. Good to see you. Pacific Desert Raids says Russian allies would. But yeah, I mean, so think about that. I mean, who's Russia's allies? Like Syria? Not much. North Korea, perhaps? Michael says, short the Kremlin. Good to see you. SME Media says, hi, Tom and everybody, and thank you for the stream. Thanks for being here. Lori E says, I just want my 15-year-old son and 5-year-old grandchildren to enjoy life. I agree. Fresh Start is here, says, I heard New York City doesn't require masks anymore in stores. That is true, they don't. Peter Webley says the LA Galaxy beat the NYCFC today. Interesting. I can't believe soccer season's already starting up. Crazy. King Prawn Curry says China will buy all of the gas. Atomic Skittles says, Tom, I'm visiting New York City in late March. What do you think about the weather will be like then? So March is very hit or miss in New York. Hold on, let me duck over to the side. It's so windy. March is very hit or miss in New York. It could be really, really nice, 55 degrees, or it could be absolutely miserable, rainy, sort of sleety mess. So it's really a hit or miss in March, to be honest. Sometimes April could be a hit or miss too in New York. Jason Lynn says, what's your time gains in the market? What's my all-time gains in the market? Do you mean like what was my most successful investment? I think talking about maybe an individual stock, probably Atlassian, which I bought right when they IPO'd. And Atlassian is a Australian software company. The CEO is Michael Cannon-Brookes. I think that has to be my biggest individual investment in terms of money. I would say Atlassian, because I bought it right at IPO. The Swan says the amount of scaffolding is unreal, Tom. Yeah, so I think that's another thing on Mayor Eric Adams' action item list, is to do something about the scaffolding, because a lot of the developers, well, I shouldn't say developers, a lot of the landlords in the city use the scaffolding as a way to delay them fixing the facades in the buildings. So I agree with you there. Hey, Pearl the Stifle 481, good to see you. Welcome everybody. James's March Madness usually brings... man, the chat's going so fast, I can't even read it. Armored Knight, good to see you. Craig M says, Tom, top 3 Midtown restaurant recommendations. Top 3 Midtown recommendations. I would say go to a restaurant called Becco, B-E-C-C-O. Very good Italian spot. It's owned by Lydia. And then if you want to go to a really good steakhouse right off of 6th Avenue, I would go to... I'm blanking on the name. I always talk about it every stream, but for some reason I'm blanking on the name. But it's right there outside the News Corporation building on 6th Avenue. Yes, Cosmos is K barbecue place as well. Baekjung, I would say. Take 31 is also another good Korean place. Del Frisco's, G Hope, you're the best. That's the place. Del Frisco's extremely good steak place in Midtown. It's a little pricey, but you know, if you're coming to have a good time in New York, I'd say that place is a good time. Really good time. Wow, Cosmo, you weren't wrong, man. Check that out. Great view of the Empire. Kilo Whiskey Juliet says Carmine's. I believe Carmine's is on the Upper West Side. Isn't it in the 90s, I believe? Chris Beeman says, Tom, Becco is Lydia. You are correct. Yeah, Chris, that's a really good spot. That's a really good spot. Chris, if you're ever in the city, please visit that restaurant. Really good. Rob H says the ruble is down 41% against the US dollar in early trading. Oof, dropping like a rock. Hey, Paranormal Witness Girl says, Tom, Del Frisco's is in downtown Fort Lauderdale too. I didn't know that. Is it really? I have to go check that out. Hey, Fresh Starts says, why is the Empire State Building blue? I believe it is blue, according to Cosmo, for the NYCFC, which is the New York City soccer team, which plays at Yankee Stadium, I believe, still. Hey, Mohammed is here. What's up, Mohammed? I hope you're having a good day. Shiva says, it looks like midnight rain. Yeah, I think it has a pretty nice contrast in the back with all the clouds, too. Oh, Cosmos says Carmine's by Times Square has a nice atmosphere. I didn't know that. I didn't know Carmine's had a place in Times Square. So whenever I went to Carmine's, I went to the one on the Upper West Side. Dogman says they have been saying they would get their own stadium since day one. I know. So originally they were supposed to build their own stadium near the Aqueduct racetrack. Remember that? At least I think. I believe that's where, or maybe that was the old plans for the Red Bull Arena. Does anybody remember that? They were supposed to have a big development site in Queens near Aqueduct racetrack, but I don't think that ever materialized, and I think those talks went dead. Hey, Carmen is here. Says, good evening, Tom. Never been to Carmine's. Good to see you, Carmen. Hey, Frankie's here. What's up, Frankie? Says, hey, good to see you. Philly says, vax mandates lifting on March 6th in New York City. So, Philly, I already thought they were lifted, though, to be honest. Because every time I've been eating out here so far, nobody sort of asked me for anything. Maybe it's just nobody really cares anymore. Because, look, I mean, in New York State, the mandates for the masks are all lifted. So maybe it's just, you know, people are just stopping early. Eyeglass Lady says, just a foo-foo question, Tom. Did you see the movie Sleepless in Seattle? The Empire State Building was a major part of it. I have not, but I will check it out. Hey, Gregory's here. Says, good shot of the Empire State Building. Good to see you, Gregory. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, there was some film going on in Madison Square Park. Please check it out. All right, we'll check it out right now. Cosmo, you still there? In Madison Square? Cynthia Beale says, Tom, thanks for letting people talk about the situation in Europe. It is good to exchange ideas, information with each other. I agree with that. Yeah, and look, I'm not an expert in foreign policy. And one of the things that's the most, I think, sticky situation about this sort of predicament that's going on is there's so many moving pieces and information going back and forth all the time. So I think there's a lot of disinformation, false information, as well as information we just don't know yet. And I think that's normal for wartime, because war is chaos. But yeah, all ideas are more than welcome here. Wow, dude, this is like a crazy view. This looks like Gotham City 100%. The clouds in the background, as well as the sort of light bluish color on the Empire, looks unreal tonight. Hopefully it's looking good on the stream. I mean, in person it looks crazy. Hey, Marty Lewis is here. Says, hey, Tom and everybody. The Empire State Building looks great. Looks great tonight. G Hope says, Tom, the #1 rated restaurant in the world is right near you now. 11 Madison Park. Interesting, G Hope. I've never heard of that. Maybe we'll have to go, but it's probably really, really expensive. Hey, Barry Bust is here. Good to see you. Beijing Charlie says, Tom's... Shit, I didn't say that. Philly says, yeah, no one cares. I've been to restaurants in November that require vaccination, but they're not really checking it. Action Kid says, it looks great from here. Yeah, I think the thing I like about it the most, Action Kid, is the contrast between the clouds and the Empire. But if you guys haven't, I mean, everybody probably already has checked them out, but if you haven't, please check out our pal, Action Kid, if you want more in-depth stuff in New York. He knows a little bit better than I do. JMTS Productions says, good evening, Tom. Sorry I missed the stream the past couple of days. No problem at all. We're just happy you're here tonight. All right, we'll make the light, and then we will do a quick walk around Madison Square Park. Hey, Faith is here. Says hello, Tom and all mom. What's up, Faith? So AMD, or Advanced Micro Devices, also just launched a massive share repurchase program, or share buyback program. And we actually did an entire stream about share repurchase programs as opposed to dividends. You know, it seems as if a lot of companies now are changing up their strategy in relation to how they return value to shareholders. So obviously, you know, a lot of companies do return value to shareholders in the form of dividends, but a more tax advantaged way to do that is actually not through dividends, because dividends, you have to, you know, pay taxes on that, right? That's a taxable event. So a lot of companies have been expanding into share repurchase programs, and Warren Buffett has been a big pioneer with this, you know, pushing a lot of his companies that he owns a majority stake into, not only to increase dividend outlays, but to do it in a more tax effective way by share repurchase programs. Wow, check out this. This is a good shot too. Because essentially a share buyback program, it removes shares off of the open market, thus increasing the earnings per share. And as we know, the number one thing that we like to look for when trying to make an investment is, what is the earnings per share of the company? Are they compounding out an annualized growth rate at least 25% per annum in their EPS? And share repurchase programs sorts of, they really tend to juice those returns by increasing overall EPS. But Faith, it's good to see you. Yeah, Cosmo, I think you're right. They're doing some sort of, they're filming something here. Looks like some sort of a short film. Fresh Starts is Tom. Have you ever been to the American Dream Mall? I have not. I have not. Good to see a fresh start. San Miguel is here. British Gray is here. Juan says, good evening, Tom. What's your opinion on L&B Pizza in Brooklyn? I've never been there. I've never been to L&B Pizza in Brooklyn, but you know what was funny? I think on the stream a couple days ago, we were talking about the Barstool Sports pizza review of I think it was called Joe and Pat's. So if you guys want an unbelievable laugh, go on YouTube, open another browser. You could leave the stream and type in Joe and Pat's Barstool Pizza Review. You're going to be in tears, crying on the floor, laughing. It's the most bizarre food review I have ever witnessed in my life. Just so bizarre, the turn of events that happened during that food review. Hey, Jeff is here. Says, hey, I'm new. Sent by T&Me TV. Well, Jeff, thank you for joining. We appreciate you being here. I don't know, says Shalom. Shalom. How are you? M. Sai says, hi, Tom. Your views on Russia has put nukes on high alert. Yeah, so we were just talking about that. And we were all speculating in the chat whether we think it's, a credible threat or not. And I think the chat is quite split in half. I think many people in the chat think it is a credible threat. Many think it isn't. I'm sort of like on the fence, right? Because thinking about in a rational mind, why would any rational person want to use a nuke? Because that essentially means the end of the world. But then again, we're not dealing with a rationalized person. We're dealing with somebody that's not well, obviously. Fresh Start says, Tom, can we see the One World Trade Center? Yeah, so when we get up to 34th Street and 6th, I think you'll be able to see the One World Trade Center in the distance for sure. 004. Good to see you. Yeah, Cynthia Beal says, Tom, nuke equals nobody wins. Everything USPS with JH says, I like the concept you have with this walk and talk. It's genius, very personable. I may try to do it on my channel one day. Yeah, dude, please do it. I'll be there to join. Well, thank you for being here, and I appreciate the compliment. Marty Lewis says, a lot of people did not think that Putin would attack Ukraine. Putin is a mad tyrant. He wants to throw the West off of balance. Yeah, so to Marty Lewis's point, Marty Lewis says a lot of people did not think that Putin would attack Ukraine. And if you guys remember correctly, on my streams about a week ago, I was one of those people. My thesis was it's no way is going to happen that Putin would actually invade Ukraine. And if you remember, my exact words were, what leader in their right mind would telegraph to the Western world to say, yeah, we're going to invade at this date and this time? It was so bizarre. I'm like, what rational person would say that? This is spot on. I was one of those people. I never would have thought in a million years Russia would actually go through with that, but I was wrong. Cindy Foley says, me too, Tom. Yeah, and now, my thesis has changed because it's like, look, the reason why I was wrong is I have to understand we're not dealing with a person who is rational, right? And it's one of those things, you can't negotiate with the terrorist. Hey, Razzle Dazzle 786, the same here, Tom. I didn't think this invasion would happen. Good to see you, Razzle Dazzle. Razzle Dazzle is our MRI technologist friend. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Yeah, Jared's is great view. This is one of my favorite views right here. We're right from 5th Avenue. Yeah, M says, wow, this looks unreal. It does. Hey, Shot by Scott says, hi, Tom. Tough weekend here, but wanted to send peace and love to you all. Good vibes as always. Scott, hang in there, my friend. Because tomorrow will be another day. Good to see you, my friend. Shot by Scott. Hope you're well. Jonathan Francis, good evening, Tom and company. What's up, Jonathan? John says, do you think Russians will use a microwave weapon to inflict brain damage causing Havana syndrome? I have no idea about any of that, John, to be totally honest with you. To be totally honest, I have no idea what that even means. Bella Jam, good to see you. Frankie, what's up? Hey, Pineapple Water is here. Says, hi, Tom. Do you still think President Xi is not watching and still does not want Thailand and Taiwan semiconductor? So I'm under the impression that China won't invade Taiwan, but then again, I was wrong about the whole Russian invasion. But here's something that was encouraging. So Pineapple Water, I'm glad you brought that up. So here's the one piece of data that I think we had that's encouraging. If you remember on, I think it was it Friday's stream or was it Saturday's stream? I believe there was a piece of news that came across Bloomberg that said China denounces the invasion of Ukraine. So it doesn't seem like China is quote unquote backing Russia in this invasion, which is, you know, obviously a big plus. And that's actually a little bit, I wasn't expecting that, because it seems like the Chinese tend to side with Putin. But it seems like they were against the invasion and they're publicly denouncing that. Hey, Carla says, hola, buenas noches. Buenas noches, Carla. Hey, Franklin, good to see you. Franklin is our pal from Brazil. Good to see you, Franklin. All right, I'll give you one more shot of the Empire because it's so crazy today. Eyeglass Lady says, Tom, China did denounce the invasion, and today I read they are cutting them off financially. Yeah, so I mean, that's obviously a positive. Dana Thompson says, Russia is being financially shut down. China doesn't want the same. Agreed 100%. And I think China's realizing that because look at the Hang Seng Index. That's been getting absolutely clocked. And I think China's starting to realize that, you know, if they don't allow free markets to take place in China, capital creation is not going to happen there. Capital formation is not going to happen there. You know, just look at what they're doing to Alibaba, arguably one of the greatest businesses of our time, and a very disappointing quarter. I believe they reported 10% revenue growth, Alibaba, on a year-over-year basis, which is the slowest revenue growth ever in that company since it went public. So just think about that. And my thesis has always been, if the Chinese companies were allowed to operate under the same rules as American companies, you would have all of those tech stocks be trading at the same multiples as American tech stocks. 100%. But there's risk involved investing in China. Because look what happened during the COVID crisis with all of those Chinese education stocks. Those were some of the most profitable businesses, growing their EPS blowout quarters. And China's like, oh yeah, we don't want you to monetize education. Your company can't exist. Those stocks went to zero overnight. Does anybody remember that? Those stocks went literally to zero overnight. Hey, Michael Cohen is here. Good to see you. This beautiful shot of the blue-colored skyscraper against the sky. Yeah, this is the Empire. Beautiful tonight. Hey, Roy S. says, Tom, the last time President Putin joining chat and this channel was on Thursday evening. Seems he is busy now. True. James Brumley, good to see you, my friend. Eyeglass Lady says, predicting the ruble will take a dive tomorrow. Probably will. I mean, futures are open now. Well, currency markets trade around the clock, but... So I think I was talking with a bunch of my buddies today, and one of my friends is an analyst at Jefferies. And he said, Tom, the only thing that I could see that's going to stop this invasion is not intervention from the Western nations, but it's intervention from the Russian people protesting in the street, uprising, giving an uproar. And I think we're already starting to see that. Putin is going to cause a run on the banks. There's already videos emerging online. I was reading something in Reuters today and watching a video where Russians are lined up around the block to try to get their money out of the bank just so they could have something. So I think what's going to stop this is not just Western influence and Western sanctions. It's going to be internally. The Russian people are going to say, we've had it. We don't want this, because their wealth is, being cut in half as we speak. Hey, Lily Reyes here. Says good evening. Good to see you. Lily, always good to see you here. Jason FTO, how are you? Hey, Triple G says, Tom, futures red crude up almost $5.96. Yeah, Triple G, something that's interesting about the crude futures I was looking at, if you go to tradingview.com, check out tradingview.com, type in ticker symbol CL. Even though we opened up, look at how much it's sold off. I think we opened up about 7%, but crude is actually selling off. I think, I think all of these rallies in crude may be sold, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I posted a link to it in the Discord if you guys want to check it out. Jeez. Hey, British Grace, Tom. London, England was protesting against Russia today, and there were some arrests, says British Gray. Lori E says, I read an article that said China and Russia were setting up their own independent trade network to bypass the dollar. Lori, could you share that in the chat by chance? I'd be interested to read that. Beijing Charlie says, how come a small-time investor doesn't have access to after-hours trading? They do. You could place trades after hours, but it's a very illiquid market. I'm not sure why you would want to. Hey, somebody says, hello from Korea. It's good morning in Korea. Hey, welcome everybody from Korea. Speaking of Korea, interesting segue here. We are in Koreatown in New York City. And we are actually standing outside one of the best Korean barbecue places in New York. So hopefully if you come to Korea, you could come here to 32nd Street and check out New York City's Koreatown. Yeah, Cosmos is good timing because Tom is in Koreatown. We are. Welcome, everybody. Chris Beeman, good to see you. Faith. Ken Kramer says, there are no winners in war, just destruction and devastation. I couldn't agree with you more. I see Jared Covey in the chat. Good to see you, Jared. Tim says, Putin has 79% approval with their people. Russians are swayed by their media, just like Americans, but in a different direction, says Tim. Tim, that's a good point. So, Tim, what do you think about the reliability of those statistics? Do you think those statistics are skewed, or do you think that they are correct? Because I think you bring up probably one of the best points I've heard tonight. Media does have a huge influence on the way people think. So I think you make a good point. Craig M says the winners are oil and gas companies and arms manufacturers, says Craig M. Unfortunately, that is true. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, I believe older Russians overwhelmingly support the Kremlin. Alan Wilson says, Tom, are you going in? Are you ashamed of us? Alan, sometime in the summer we'll have to do an in-person meetup at Vectron. Cosmo Scary said he'd pay for all of us. Eyeglass Lady says, I would be inclined to doubt that approval rating is that high. Yeah, I'm actually undecided on that. Could those statistics be skewed? Potentially, perhaps. But just a quick reminder, everybody, next week is going to be a busy week on Wall Street huge week of earnings. We have Target, ticker symbol TGT, reporting earnings, as well as Costco. And I think those are two important companies to pay attention to their earnings reports, because it'll give us an idea in relation to inflation, as well as consumer sentiment and demand. So please be on the lookout. Costco as well as Target will be reporting earnings this coming week, as well as Best Buy will be reporting earnings. We'll be covering that this week on the stream. Don't worry about it, we will. Also, speaking of oil and speaking of crazy oil prices, this guy's trying to go the wrong way, which is not good. He'll figure it out. We are hearing from OPEC. Rob H says, Tom, the older Russian population supports Putin because they watch TV, and the younger population has said that they often do not watch TV and the news. They get the news from social media. That's interesting, Rob. I never thought about it like that, but you're probably spot on. I believe the Russian-sponsored media channels, one is RT, I believe. RT News, I believe. Lori E says, Tom, do you go back and read the chat later? Yes, I do. So I will see your link. Anytime you guys drop interesting links and things like that for articles, I do go back and read it. So yes, I do. So thank you for that. I do catch up and I tend to read everything. So thank you for that. I appreciate it very much. San Miguel, good to see you. Tim says Rob H is probably true for countries around the world. Yeah, I mean, and that's why if we think about from an investing standpoint, a lot of the legacy media companies as well as cable television their ratings are in structural decline. Hey, Music, thank you so much for the $2 donation. I appreciate you. This is, and Trump wanted to disband NATO. Makes sense now. Thank you, Music, for the donation. I appreciate you very, very much. Well, think about it like this. You know, like for me personally, I never watch cable television. Like I never actually formally sit down and watch TV and flip through the channels. I mean, does anybody? I mean, probably a significantly less amount of people do than before. I don't pay for cable. You know, I get the vast majority of my news off of YouTube, watching, you know, opinionated pieces and just reading online articles. I don't really actually sit in front of the TV and watch Fox News or CNN. I just don't have time to. Hey, Sharon Lee says, Tom, always verify where your news comes from. A lot of spin doctors out there that are owned by government entities, says Sharon Lee. Good to see you, Sharon. Good point as well. Very good point. Yes, San Miguel says just YouTube and social media. Bloomberg as well, I've been getting a lot of news from. Two Wheel Pines the same. Yeah, I think the fundamental way, and this is good investing topic too, I think the way humans consume media has fundamentally changed. Right? Like I don't have time when I come home from work to sit down, turn on the TV and watch, you know, Fox News or CNN. What I will do sometimes is I'll watch clips, like I'll watch YouTube clips of maybe like a CNN clip or a Fox News clip that I'll watch, but I don't have time to actually sit down and, you know, listen to legacy media outlets. You know, a lot of my news I get from different newsletters like the Morning Brew, things like that. I think as we've evolved and as, you know, wireless cell phones and tablets and things like that have really become the standard norm, I just think our communication processes have differed. So if people can get their news from Twitter, places like that, quick Bloomberg alerts and things like that. So I think you're 100% correct. Barry Buss is the only thing people watch on TV statistically is live sporting events. That's a good point. But also, I think streaming services are taking over for sporting events as well. Hey, Laytha, good to see you, my friend. Happy Sunday to you. Faith is here. Good to see you, Faith. Faith, have you decided if you're going to go to Paris yet? Or are you still undecided? ACOALT says, share this, man. Good to see you. Laytha, this is happy Sunday, Tom. Looks like a gorgeous night. Yeah, Laytha, if you just joined, if you scroll back on the video maybe about 15 minutes ago, check out the Empire State Building tonight. Crazy. Faith says, yes, I booked to go the 1st. Awesome. Well, have a good time. Alan Wilson says, but YouTube heavily censors the content they allow, says Alan. Who else we have? Frankie, good to see you, Frankie. Cynthia Beal says, Tom, the time is now 9:43 p.m. Thank you for the time check. XOXX Bob says, hi, Tom. Russia's GDP is equal to that of Italy. If it weren't for oil, Russia would be a third world country. You are spot on. You are spot on. So what XOXX Bob is saying, he's briefly touching on what we talked about yesterday. If we think about the big stock market sell-off that happened Wednesday and Thursday, you know, all the major indices were down like 4% in after-hours trading. But I think as markets realize, look, you know, if you look at the exposure Russia has on S&P 500 companies, they make up 0.1% of all sales for S&P 500 companies. So, look, as of trading right now, futures are down big. Since I've last checked, if somebody wants to pull up futures right now to sort of look, I believe they're well off their lows. I think we've had a pretty decent rally. Hey, Kumar is here, says, can we have a look at the Empire State Building when you walk around? We can. Good to see you, Kumar. San Miguel says, no chatty people in New York. I think in Miami, people are more prone to speak to strangers, potentially. Potentially. Hey, Philly, good to see you. Byron, B-Y-R-E-N, Brian, says, main pipelines run through the Ukraine. Shiva says, Trump would have been a better president, says Shiva. Sally is here, says, hey, Tom. SVSUGV Carter says, Dow futures fall 500 points. Poon Adam, good to see you. Hey, Rob H says, thanks for the stream and and a great platform tonight. Have a great night. Hey, Rob, thank you for joining. And thank you for all of your insights. We appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your perspective as always. Oh, but everybody, just a quick thing. If you go to my YouTube's community page, I posted a poll in regards to working from home. In the next Behind the Street newsletter that will be sent out Monday night, I am going to write a piece on the new age of working remotely. So if you want to participate in that survey, please go to the YouTube community page and click one of the options. It is totally an anonymous survey. I just want to use some of that data to include into the piece I am going to be writing in this week's issue of the Behind the Street newsletter. So if you want to just quickly go to the community page, if you want, no pressure, and select one of those options if you want to participate. We will be sending out the Behind the Street newsletter on Monday. So if you want to receive the newsletter, if you type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link where you could sign up. And you'll receive it every week. It's a top-down, bottom-up macro approach to investing where we talk about not only U.S. equity markets, but emerging markets as well, and commodities. So feel free to join us on that. Hey, Solemn Taylor says, hey, are there any protests in Ukraine about Ukraine in New York City. Yes. So we actually walked past a couple yesterday in Union Square, so 14th Street, Union Square, and if I'm not mistaken, there may be one going on currently in Times Square, but that I am not sure. But there were some protests as well. Hey, Lupe is here. What's up, Lupe? Lupe is our great moderator from the one and only Oklahoma. Good to see you. So this is One Vanderbilt. We could see in the distance here. Ken Kramer says yes, Washington Square. So there's a protest in Washington Square Park. Interesting. Hey, Bob says, Tom, we are having Ukraine protests here in Florida as well. Yeah, I wonder if there's any in Miami. There's probably a lot. Lupe says, oh my God, I thought that was somebody standing there with a black hoodie. Lay, this is One Vanderbilt building, looks beautiful. Sophia A says Flatiron Building. We passed that not too long ago. Crystal Beauty, good to see you. May Lee says good evening from Pennsylvania. Welcome everybody from Pennsylvania. Hope you are doing well. Michael says good evening from Southern California. I would love to be in Southern California right now, where it is bright, sunny, and warm. Brandon Teed says that was a weird siren just now. Good to see you, Brandon. Roy S, thank you. Hey, DJ Trend says I live in a Russian and Ukraine neighborhood here in Miami. A lot of them here. DJ, good to see you, my friend. We're big fans of Miami on the stream. We'll probably be back in Miami relatively soon. To be determined, but we should be back in Miami soon. So good to see you, DJ, and thank you for joining tonight. Korea says, I didn't hear about the protests in Korea, but people in Korea pray for peace. Very cool. Which city in Korea are you from? So I believe there's a big military base in Osan. So it's called the Osan Air Base. That's actually where one of my best friends was stationed that I went to college with. And now my friend, he's actually stationed now in Poland due to all this mess. But yeah, when he was there, he loved Osan. He said it was the best place he's ever been to. Osan Air Base. Ah, very cool. Starry Stripes is people protesting in private Western Central Japan as well. Hey, Hassan B says, good morning from Bahrain. I'm still jet lagged from New York City. Hey, Hassan, good to see you. KR says, were you born in New York? I was. Ah, you went to Osan before. Very cool. So now we're on 6th Avenue walking northbound. We should be able to take a walk around Bryant Park tonight a bit and close it up. Hey, photos from around New York. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Triple G says, is there any talks of the U.S. accepting Ukrainian refugees? I don't think we'll probably need to do that, because if you think about it, I think countries that are neighboring Ukraine are more apt to take them in. But yeah, I mean, if they need to come here, for sure. Photos from around New York says, Tom, Warsaw, Poland has an interesting downtown where they completely recreated it from the 1800s. Very cool photos. Yeah, my buddy is there now in Poland. Solomon Taylor says, this is so lovely. I miss New York City. Well, Solomon, please come back to New York very, very soon, please. Bob says Poland is accepting Ukrainians. Philly says Putin doesn't give two F's about people protesting. You know, you're probably right, actually. But I think if enough people in Russia, you know, because think about it like this, the Russian stock market has cratered 50% in a day, and it's probably going to get hammered even more tomorrow. So people are losing half of their wealth. Their currency is collapsing. You don't think there's going to be massive riots? Right? So another thing, that if we think about hyperinflationary collapse of a currency globally, the main reason why currency is going to hyperinflationary collapse, the number one reason is because they lose trust in that underlying government. It's not really for any other factor but that. Somebody says, Tom, have you visited Korea before? I have not, but I want to. Once this whole COVID thing blows over, I will be visiting. Craig Ham says, people are protesting here in Australia as well. Craig, good to see you, my friend. We have a lot of viewers from Australia. Beautiful country. Ken Glass, the one and only, says, hey, Tom, hope you're well. Right back at you, Ken. Happy Sunday, my good friend Ken. Lucas is here. What's up? Al Baker says, Sunny Isles and Hallandale Beach, Florida is a mini Russia. Yeah, so Al Baker, you actually bring a really good point. So supposedly we're supposed to be targeting a lot of the major Russian billionaires that set up, you know, havens here in the United States. And I was reading a New York Times article actually today that said the two top places in the United States where Russia, quote unquote, hides a lot of their wealth. Number one, obviously, New York City, and number two is Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, and Miami. So Sunny Isles Beach, if anybody's ever been there, it's pretty much like Billionaire's Row, but right on the water. It's such an amazing place. They have the Porsche Design Tower there. They also are building a brand new tower called the Bentley Tower. And the vast majority of people live there are billionaires. It's sort of like here in the United States, in New York City, where we have Billionaire's Row, where the vast majority of these apartments, people buy them and they're actually not even living in them. It's the same thing in Sunny Isles Beach. So New York City is the number one city where Russian oligarchs buy real estate. So in a lot of these, you know, you think about Central Park Tower, 432 432 Park Avenue is another one. And they use these as piggy banks in the sky where they can diversify their assets. So supposedly the US government's supposed to go after those assets. I'm not sure how that's going to unwind, but that was a good point by Al Baker. Morris says, hi, greetings, love your videos. We will be there on March 14th. How can we expect the weather to be? Well, that's phenomenal. Hopefully the weather's good, but March, to be honest, in New York is a big hit or miss. It's a big hit or miss, but you know, March is only 2 weeks away, which is kind of crazy, but hopefully you enjoy your trip to New York. Pacific Desert Raid says, Tom, the majority of Putin's money is offshore. Grant Links is because people make money off of it. Annie says, it's sad, but I feel like the US is more likely to go after Americans who didn't pay enough taxes than these Russians. I actually agree with that 100%. They probably will. KR says, maybe this whole war is set up to take assets from Russia in the West. This is KR. I don't know about that. Interesting thesis. Lily Ray says, true about Sunny Isles. I will say something about Sunny Isles Beach, though. That place is like really nice. I'm not sure. I think some people in the chat has obviously been to Sunny Isles, but Sunny Isles Beach is absolutely gorgeous there. Really, really beautiful. I mean, everything is immaculate. The beaches are amazing. It's almost surreal going there because the height of the skyscrapers on the water, it doesn't look right, if that makes sense. Because the skyscrapers look as tall as they are in New York, but they're so close to the water. It's really weird looking. DJ says, yeah, it's gorgeous here. Love Sunny Isles Beach. I oftentimes go running there. And I think, so our moderator, Shot by Scott, is also from Sunny Isles Beach. I think he lives there right now. Pacific Desert Rays, it's really nice there. KR says, Tom, I like West Palm Beach, Florida. I've never been there, but I have to go there. Hey, Brandon Teed says, Tom, here in Toronto, we also have a ton of foreign, mainly Chinese investors, held condos for the piggy bank idea. Big complaints with it taking up actual inventory for first-time home buyers. You know, Brandon, I did hear about that. I think it was 2 streams ago, somebody actually brought that same topic up, but I'm not too knowledgeable on the Canadian real estate market, but I have been reading that there's a lot of foreign investment in places like Toronto, Montreal, and housing prices, just like here in the United States, are going crazy in Canada. And the biggest problem, to your point, is it's taking away ample supply from regular Canadians who are first-time home buyers. So it's a big problem. I think you're spot on there. John Hale, good to see you. XOXX Bob's. Tom, Sunny Isles has the second tallest skyline in Florida after Miami. And it looks taller because it's right on the water, which is crazy. Hey, we have Tack Foggers. Says, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. Jonathan Francis, Fisher Island is pretty nice. So that was also inclusive in the article. Fisher Island, I believe, is also one of the other islands near Miami, where a lot of the billionaires, not only from Russia, but other countries, Argentina as well, go to buy these mega mansions and things like that. So here we are at Bryant Park. I think it is closed right now, but I'll give you guys a quick shot what it looks like. Hey, Elliott Wave Review is here. So there's a lot of Asian money there. Good to see you, Elliott Wave Review. So Elliott Wave is an investing theory, mainly that the markets trend higher in 5 waves, correct in 3 waves. Elliott Wave, yeah, markets. So you'll have like 5 impulse waves, and then you'll have like 2, like an A, B, and a C wave. So good to see you, my friend. That's actually a really good book. I forget what the book is called. I think it's just called Elliott Wave Analysis. Hey, Gummy Bear says, great pictures, Tom. Good to see you, Gummy Bear. Lily Ray says, there's so much construction of new buildings in Sunny Isles. Yeah, there's a crazy amount of construction just in Miami alone. It's really crazy. I think I sent, I forget, I won't say his name, but one of our really good friends on the chat, I sent him an article on that new Bentley tower that they're building in Sunny Isles, and I think it's supposed to be complete in 2026, I believe. And it's supposedly supposed to be the tallest apartment building in Sunny Isles. Completion is supposed to be 2026. Elliott Wave Review says, yeah, it's called Elliott Wave Principle. That's the book. Very good book. I'm not a big Elliott Wave guy, but I do use it sometimes. But I think that book is very good in terms of understanding overall market cycles, how markets run in cycles. So very good book. I do have that one in my library. So here we are at West 42nd Street, Avenue of the Americas, outside of the Bank of America Tower, as well as the Salesforce Tower. And this is the Salesforce Tower right here. The ticker symbol is CRM. The CEO is Mark Benioff. And Mark Benioff actually started off as an intern under Steve Jobs. Mark Benioff has a great book called Trailblazer, which I would highly, highly recommend to anybody. Phenomenal book. And they just recently completed their acquisition of Slack. So Slack, you could sort of think about it as a collaboration tool, like Microsoft Teams. The ticker symbol was WORK. NE says, as someone who used Salesforce for work, I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, so NE, it's funny. So you know my background. I am in enterprise tech sales, software, telecom sales. And the biggest joke around all the account executives and the enterprise account executives is we get hammered by our managers about update Salesforce, close won the opportunity. So if there's any salespeople out there, you understand Salesforce can be a really, really big pain, especially if you're getting heat from the upper management. Update Salesforce, close won the opportunity, close lost the opportunity. Grant Link says, please press the like button. I appreciate it, Grant. If you guys are enjoying the stream tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video. I would appreciate it. Gregory says, Tom, I like Slack more than Teams. Yeah, you know what? I think I like Teams a little bit better, mainly because I don't have to pay for it. But if I was working at a big company or something like that, I would probably prefer Slack to Teams, to be honest. But Teams tends to come free with the Microsoft Suite. But I agree with you. At my last company I worked at, we actually did use Slack as opposed to Teams. Elliott, we have a review. Hey. Oh, thank you. I'll head out now. Have a good night. Elliott Wave Review says, do you think it's a good time to buy gold? So Elliott Wave Review, I'm not sure if you're getting my newsletters. So every week I send out a free financial newsletter for everybody where I do a deep dive in not only US equities markets, but emerging markets. We review commodities markets, rates, bonds, and things like that. And in last week's edition of the Behind the Street newsletter, I pointed out, if you look at gold, or I was pointing out the ETF GLD on a monthly chart. Look at a monthly chart at GLD and tell me that's not the most unbelievable cup and handle pattern I've ever seen in my life. Now, I'm not saying that gold is going to break out, but if we do crack the highs and make a new all-time record high in gold, I will be initiating a position in gold. You have to. I mean, the measured move on that is like 50%. Gold, I think, just cracked 1900 for the first time since 2020, I believe. But for me, I don't have any exposure to gold right now. But if we crack new all-time record highs, I will initiate a position. But that's not investing advice. This is just, open conversation between people in the chat. Webley Coffee Spill says, Tom, we use Slack too. It does the job. Chat, screen sharing, file sharing, no issues. Yeah, Slack's a good piece of software. Slack is a good piece of software. Big Easy says, Tom, the number of people watching this right now, the Dow futures is about the same. Oh my God. That's funny. Humane says, are you securities licensed, Tom? Sounds like you should be. No, I don't think I ever want to work in traditional finance. I enjoy tech too much. I enjoy tech way too much. I've spent the majority of my career in enterprise tech sales. I think that's where I want to stay. I enjoy it. Photos from around New York says, Tom, what do I type into Google? So a free platform that's really good, if you guys go to tradingview.com, so TradingView.com, it's a trading software that's completely free, and it'll allow you to track all your commodities, all your bonds, all your equities, US, as well as in emerging markets. So tradingview.com is a good charting software that's completely free. And you can check out all your different ticker symbols and everything you could watch. Faith says, Tom, a brand would be good for face pinch logo. Hilarious. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, man. Have a good night. Gummy Bear says, Tom, ever met any celebrities? I don't think so. The only ones I could say is when I used to work on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I used to work right next to Jerry Seinfeld's garage. So I used to see him when he would film the comedians in cars getting coffee segment. Do I think it's very difficult to find a job in the United States for somebody who has experience in tech in Latin America? Not at all. A lot of tech jobs are in extremely, extremely high demand. I think the only thing that is limiting that is our H-1B visa system, unfortunately, in the United States is so backwards right now. So finding a company to sponsor you to come here, I think just the biggest hurdle is just getting a visa to work here, which has just been a pain in the neck. But yeah, I mean, companies would absolutely love to have you. But what sort of, I like to say, what sort of segment in tech do you work in? Are you on engineering and sales, product development? Yeah, Melee says high demand in technology and cybersecurity. Extreme demand. So if you want to work in cybersecurity, there's a couple companies I'd recommend. Personally, I would recommend Zscaler, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, and Okta. Those are probably the top players, in my opinion, that I see as the biggest room for growth. So if you want to work in cybersecurity, check out Zscaler, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks. I think those are great companies. Hey, 3-inch hippopotamus says, Tom, there's a lot of jobs in New Zealand, mostly low-paying healthcare ones, unfortunately. Good to see you. Peter Webley, good to see you, my friend. Melee says, blockchain tech salary starting at 130. That seems about right. So here is the Chrysler Building now. Photos from around New York says, oh my God, Tom, TradingView changes in real time. Yeah, so there's real-time quotes there. So obviously right now the market is closed, but you can track the futures. So like the S&P 500 futures contract or the E-minis, the ticker symbol is ES. And you can track like the NASDAQ 100 futures, the NQs, and the Dow YM. Solomon Taylor says, I'm a web developer. Can I get a job in the US? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a lot of questions in the chat about getting jobs and things like that. If you guys want a place to network and where we could help each other out a little bit more, if you look in the link in the description of this video, you could sign up for the Walks in Wall Street Discord chat. So we finally have the Discord server up where we have open channels about helping each other get jobs in tech, investment banking, private equity, venture capital, whatever it is. If you have a question, if you want to, share your story, say, hey, Tom, in chat, I'm from Latin America, but I want a job at a tech company. Any resources or any way you could help me out, let us know. I'm sure somebody would be more than happy to guide you in the right direction. So here we have the Chrysler Building. So we are close to Pershing Square. You know, I think the bridge here, Grand Central Terminal, is actually lit up for Ukraine. French says, is this a job search site? No, so it is a Discord channel. So it is essentially a chat room for everybody who watches the streams. If you want to post relevant information, if you want to, you know, just network with people who watch the chat or watch the channel, you could feel free to join the Discord server if you'd like. Hey, Kirby says tech sales and applications engineering jobs are great careers. Company have to reinvent themselves every 2 to 5 years or they go out of business. I agree with you. I think that was the best thing I've ever done, is instead of going into investment banking, I went into tech sales. You know, because if you work at a very fast growing telecommunications company or a pure play software company as an account executive or enterprise account executive, you know, you could make a really, really nice living for yourself and learn a lot as well. KR says, do you work 5 days a week? I probably work like 7 days a week. Good to see you, KR. Somebody says, are you going into Grand Central Station? Yes, we will be taking a walk around Grand Central Station tonight. Kirby, good to see you. Horatio Snipes. Good to see you, Horatio. Hope you're well. French, good to see you. Hey, Paranormal Witness Girl says, I just love to walk on those streets. Hey, KR says, do you prefer to work from home or do you prefer office? So for me personally, I prefer to go into the office. You know, I will say one thing. You know, if you are a fresh graduate out of college, I think working from home is the worst thing you could possibly do for your career. You know, when you're young, the most important thing is building out your network. And it's very hard to build a network of people that you trust and that could help you with your career advancement if you're just sitting at home on Zoom calls. So I was fortunate to come out of college pre-COVID, where I got to meet a lot of interesting people, went out to dinner with some of the biggest executives at a lot of these bigger companies. So in my personal opinion, I think that going into the office is better, but then again, I always worked in sales, so I was only in the office for like 2 hours a day, and then I was out meeting clients and running meetings and things like that. Cosmo Scary says, wow, very interesting insight. It seems like a lot of young people prefer working at home. Yeah, that is true. So a lot of young people do like working from home. I mean, who wouldn't? But I think that's a big mistake. And Jamie Dimon, which is the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, he came out and said the same thing. He's like, look, I know it's fun to work from home sometimes, but you know, over the long run, what's going to help you out in life is your network of people. You know, and the best way to network is being in the office, showing FaceTime. It's very difficult to do that when you're remote. Pacific Desert Raids is to get good jobs. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Layla says networking is sadly requisite, like it or not. It's a fact in the United States. You're 100% right. Philadelphia Walks PTSD is here. Good to see you. John, good to see you. Ernest Martinez, how are you? The right move avoiding Silicon Valley? I think so too. Because if you think about it, a lot of people in Silicon Valley are escaping the valley and coming to the East Coast in places like New York, Boston, and Miami. Dutchman says, Tom, are you ready for daylight savings time on March 13th? I'm excited. Dutchman, I'm excited, man. Western Mass Dave says, I think working in the office face-to-face has made you the person you are today, potentially. And I think if you're in a sales role, right? So a lot of the times when I would run meetings with clients, it would be in their office, right? In a lot of these buildings here. But now, you know, young salespeople are running these meetings on Zoom. And even though you can get the same thing accomplished, I don't think you really truly develop that relationship with the client as you would if you were right there face to face. That's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong on it, but that's just my opinion. It looks like the Bank of America Tower is all lit up too for the Ukraine. But speaking of working from home, if you guys want to help me out on the next edition of the Behind the Street newsletter, if you go to my YouTube community page, feel free to take the poll that we have up about working from home and working remote. So I'm going to be writing a piece within the Behind the Street newsletter that I will send out to everybody on Monday about the future of work. So if you want to help us out on that, we'd appreciate it. And also, everybody, thank you so much. We are at, I think, 565 or something like that. 560 people. We've grown the Behind the Street newsletter to 560 people, which is insane. So thank you for everybody who's been signing up and reading my work. It is much, much appreciated. Roy S. says, agree with you, Tom, about work from home. There's good things and bad things as well. Paranormal Witness Girl says, as someone who worked in government for 8 years, I hated working in person, and my new job is all hybrid. It fits my personality. That's fantastic. So Paranormal Witness Girl, have you transitioned from government to private sector? Hey, Bot says, my morning begins by watching your night walks. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. Brian says, glad to support your work in the newsletter. Thank you, Brian. You're the best. Jonathan Richards is here. What's up, Jonathan? Says, I did the poll earlier today. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Jonathan. You're the best. Troy 1995 says, Tom, hybrid is the answer. I think you're right. I wouldn't mind going to the office 2 days a week, and then the rest is fine. But I think everybody, you know, we need to have at least some sort of, you know, normalcy back in our lives. And I think also to have a more broad-based economic recovery as well, because not everybody has the luxury of being able to work remote. Elliott Wave Review says, are you friends with Action Kid and New York Life Vlog? Yeah, they're acquaintances of mine for sure. Love Action Kid and Anne from New York Life Vlog as well. Very great people with phenomenal channels. Great people. Kenneth says, Tom, just curious. Let me see what you said. Ken, could you put the comment again? I forget. Hey, Raul is here. How are you, Raul? Kenneth says, how old are you? You have good head on your shoulders. I'm 26. I am 26 years old. But thank you, Kenneth, for joining. Pacific Desert Raid says, a mix of working from home and working in the office would do us good. It's a good balance. Agreed. Hey, Joy80 says, just discovered your channel and I'm a new subscriber. Hey, thank you, Joy. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully you're enjoying the beautiful views of the city. So it does look like this is all lit up for Ukraine. This is the Pershing Square Bridge here to Grand Central Terminal. KR says, what is the difference between a friend and an acquaintance? Well, a friend is somebody you know personally, right? Acquaintance is, you know of the person, they're good people. I just haven't met them in person, but I definitely know of them, and they're phenomenal people. Hey, Tizzy Sniz says, Tom, just wanted to say this is my second day watching your live stream. And the first thing I noticed is how clear your camera is. Much love from the great state of Texas. Hey, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. And welcome to all of our viewers in Texas. Texas is indeed a great state. Okay, so let's get out of the wind here. We'll take a walk around inside Grand Central. Jonathan Richards, I'm not too sure the exact amount of time. That's to be determined. All right, so we're about to head in. Hey, Melee is his first time viewer and love this channel from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Hey, thank you. Love Scranton, Pennsylvania. Webley says, did an ollie impossible on that like button. Awesome. Do a kickflip. Yeah, Frankie says, hopefully it won't start buffering. So for some reason, it always buffers in the Moynihan train station, which is a newer and modern train station. But for some reason in the Grand Central Terminal, we have no problem at all. Go Hard Brothers is Subway, good spot to hide during a war. Good to see you. Smee Media, hope you're well. Paranormal Witness Girl, potentially soon. Dutchman says howdy from Texas. I'm from Arizona. You know, I really want to go to play golf in Arizona. I'm not a big golfer, but supposedly I heard some of the best golf courses are in Arizona. Although I believe one of the top courses is Bethpage, which is right here on Long Island. I believe the best course is the Bethpage Black. Has anybody in here played Bethpage Black? That's supposedly... So I've played Bethpage, but not the Black course, obviously. All right, here we are, Grand Central Station. And we have the Mighty Bull right here. Hey, Mike S. says, went to a wedding at Bethpage. Awesome. Good to see you, Mike. Jonathan Francis, Bethpage Black is insane. I know, man. So I played at Bethpage this summer. It was a blast. I'm horrible, just to let everybody know, horrible at golfing, but it's a good time. You know, if you go with clients or your friends, it's a fun time. Yeah, Bob says, Tom, I missed the Miami yachts. I know, I do too. RJ says, Tom, hope you're okay. Go north to Amelia Island, north of Jacksonville to golf. Let me take a screenshot of that. Parking full time says, beautiful building. Good to see you. Cindy Foley is here. Good to see you. Cosmo Scary says, wow, the stream has been on for 108 minutes already. Has it really? Feels like we just started. Jung G.A. Young says, wonderful. I hope to be there someday. I hope you come here as well. Later says, Tom is missing the Miami Heat. I am, to be totally honest. For some reason, it's going to sound weird. I actually like the humidity of Miami. I really hate the dry, cold winter. But that's why I like Long Island during the summer, because Long Island, New York is extremely humid. Yeah, Faith says, Tom, some miss Miami, some miss New York. You guys should see my inbox. Every time I get to New York, I have 75 emails about, oh, when are you going to be back in Miami? And then when I land in Miami, I have about probably double the emails. Oh, when are you going to be back in New York? It's funny. Latha's just like Tom likes a gold, tan and glistening skin. Hilarious. Peter Webley says Scottsdale, Arizona has some amazing golf courses. Yeah, so Scottsdale, and there's also another location that is, I'm forgetting the town in Arizona, but it's not Scottsdale, but that's really, really known for golf as well. Al Baker says, Tom, what's your favorite building in New York? My favorite building is maybe I'll show you guys tonight, but it is the Seagram Building. It's on Park Avenue. It's one of my favorite buildings. It is called the Seagram Building. Penelope's like, don't tell Tom how long he's been streaming. No concept of time when he's streaming. That is true. Triple G says Tom could be in Calcutta, and we'd still watch him. Go Hard Brother says, what would you call the architecture of this building? I'm not too sure. What would you guys call this architecture? It wouldn't be Greco-Roman style, would it? Vela says, I often see you check in Fernando's live stream. Is he your friend? Yeah, Fernando's a really good friend of mine. Life, Liberty, and Guns has just discovered your channel, and it looks good. Life, Liberty, and Guns, rock on, my friend. Love the YouTube name there. Melee says, what time do your streams start and end? So we usually try to start around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It just really depends when I finish up work, but we usually go for about 2.5 hours. Yeah, Al Baker's like, definitely not Art Deco. This is classic architecture, maybe. Yeah, Art Deco is phenomenal in Miami. We always tend to check out those Art Deco buildings. In South Beach has a ton. Lemonade, good to see you. Gummy Bears is great swimming on Long Island. Yeah, hopefully this summer I'll be able to head out to Southampton. Haven't been there in years. I used to quite frequently go to Watermill, New York. Hey, Michelle Jackson is here. Hey, Michelle. This is hi, everyone. Good to see you, Michelle. John says, am I able to view the first stream you did online? Yeah. If you look back far enough at the channel, probably 100%. So if we head straight out this way on the Lexington Passage, you guys will be able to see the Chrysler Building. We're going to be directly under the Chrysler Building. Kumar says, are you taking a train from the Grand Central Station? So not from Grand Central. Hopefully someday when the Long Island Railroad East Side Access Project is finished, we'll be taking the train out of here. Hey, Zilch, my good pal Zilch, thank you so much for the $2 donation. Appreciate it, Zilch. So supposedly the East Side Access Project is supposed to be finished sometime in the summer. But as now, all the Long Island Railroad goes to Penn Station. Somebody says, go to Bridgewater Investments. Potentially. Zilch, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Appreciate it, Zilch. Bridgewater is Ray Dalio's hedge fund. Layda says, hello again, Miguel Gonzalez. All right, so now we are right under, this is the main entrance of the Chrysler Building. Lee says, summer what year? What's up, Lee? Lee is our fellow friend from Miami. So we are directly under the Chrysler Building right now. Hey, Otto says Grand Central Station architecture is, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Interesting though, Otto. Thank you for that. Hey, Raul M says, Tom, what is your market's outlook for the week? So right now futures are deep red, but I truly believe that we could probably turn red to green. It's very possible. So we'll be watching for that. But this week we have a lot of notable earnings reports. Obviously Target, ticker symbol TGT is reporting earnings, so we'll be covering that on the stream. Also Costco is reporting earnings, which is going to give us a big insight to how inflationary pressures are affecting consumer prices. So it should be interesting to really listen in to the CEO of Target as well as Costco. Also Best Buy. Best Buy is supposed to post not too good earnings. I think sales and earnings are supposed to decelerate a little bit. But that is what we got going on for the week. We're also going to be able to hear from OPEC. But I think the main driver of these markets, obviously, is the Federal Reserve. And there's a lot of speculation on Wall Street. I was reading an interesting op-ed piece recently about how this war in Russia and Ukraine could potentially kick the can further down the road in relation to interest rate hikes. So we'll see if that materializes. Hey, Michelle Jackson. Oh, you're too kind. Thank you so much, Michelle, for the $10 donation to the channel. I appreciate all of the support. Michelle Jackson, thank you. But in March, we're supposed to have a 50 basis point interest rate hike, which is really nothing. I mean, you might as well not raise anything. But there has been a lot of talk on Wall Street that the Federal Reserve may use the Russia-Ukraine situation as an excuse to not raise rates. I don't think that's going to happen, because the Federal Reserve needs to install or instill some sort of credibility again. And, you know, by raising interest rates, at least it'll signal to the market that they're at least trying to do something about inflation. But then again, as we know, raising interest rates has nothing to do with inflation. It's the money printing, right? It's the $9 trillion Fed balance sheet that they have to unwind, which has been really the driver of inflation. You know, the Federal Reserve buying U.S. Treasuries, buying mortgage-backed securities. It's the money printing is what has been driving all this inflation. Because if you think about ever since the 2008 financial crisis, we've had artificially low interest rates. And the CPI was running well below the Fed's target of inflation of about 2.5 or 2%. Karina Thompson, good to see you. This is hello, Tom and chatters. Good to see you, Karina. Thank you for being here. So we'll go back in the Grand Central Terminal and we will exit on the west side. I just wanted to show you guys the Chrysler Building. Hey, Luke says hi, mate. Good to see you, Luke. Hope you're well. Gustavo says hi, Tom. I'm from Buenos Aires, Argentina. Can you please explain in 2 words how SWIFT works? In 2 words? In 2 words. International banking. International payments. But thank you for being here. We have a lot of viewers from Buenos Aires, Argentina. But 2 words is not enough words, but Jonathan Richards says Jerome Powell is an idiot. Yeah, a lot of people think that. I think so. Here's the thing. Here's what I think about Jerome Powell. I think he's a good guy, but I think there's a lot of politics that are involved, and he can't do what he wants to do because of political influence. He couldn't do what he wanted to do under Trump, because if he raised interest rates, Trump would have thrown a fit and kicked him out of there and fired him. And that's the truth. And it's not like he can do anything material this time, because we are in a midterm election cycle. And if he raises interest rates and crashes the market, Joe Biden is going to fire him. So I think it's just, the Federal Reserve president is stuck between a rock and the hard place. Because unfortunately, I think over the past 12 years, I would say, every president looks to the stock market as, oh, the stock market's going up, so I'm doing the best, right? When actually seasoned investors understand that the stock market is not the economy, right? The stock market is not the economy. We have a bigger wealth gap and a wealth divide in this country than we've ever had. So just because the stock market's up doesn't necessarily mean the underlying economic fundamentals are positive in the United States. Jonathan Ridges says good guys can be called idiots. That's true. I just think that he's getting manipulated a lot by politicians and presidents as well. Hey, Fernando Mora says, hello, I'm from New York City. I'm going to New York City in 2 weeks for the first time. How is the weather in March? Should I pack for cold weather? I think you should pack for cold weather. March is a big hit or miss. It could be really disgusting or it could be really nice. Melee says, buy stocks that pay dividends. John says, hello, Tom. Hope all is well. Thank you. I hope all is well with you too. Michael Welch says, hello, Tom. Michael, what's up, my friend? Western Mass Dave says, Tom, the stock market has nothing to do with the economy. Agreed. Al Baker says, Tom, do you think the crisis going on, that they'll hold the interest rate back? I don't think so, but there's a lot of speculation on the street about that. Raul M says, in Wall Street, the more things seem to change, the more they remain the same. Three-inch hippopotamus says, man, the chat's going so fast. Beijing Charlie says, what do you think about George Soros? Well, Stanley Druckenmiller is one of the greatest investors of all time. And he actually got his start working with George Soros. And Stanley Druckenmiller is all about size. If you have a conviction, if you have an investing thesis, there's no use to only put a little bit of money in it. You gotta start to pony up and really use a lot of size. It's called moving size is the terminology. But if you look in the Discord, I actually shared an interesting interview with everybody with Stanley Druckenmiller and Paul Tudor Jones, which I think are probably the two greatest traders of all time. So if you want to, I would really I think it's about a 40-minute interview. I would take the time out and check that interview out between Paul Tudor Jones and Stanley Druckenmiller. And I think those are probably the top two investors of all time. Go Hard Brothers says, Trump's policies were actually solid. Say what you want about his personality. Three-inch hippopotamus says Trump has actually done things. Biden in a world with no accountability. Webley Coffee Spill, thank you so much. Says solid content. Miss the city. Been working from home. Thanks for the stream. Hey, Webley Coffee Spill. I appreciate you very, very, very much. Thank you for the donation. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of interesting opinions in the chat. We welcome them all. Doesn't matter if you guys are Trump supporters or Biden supporters, we are all welcome here, and I appreciate all the insight. I think it's good to have an open mind. Jonathan Richards says, Mr. Powell is getting manipulated, but he allows that versus being his own guy. Yeah, I think you make a good point, but if you think about it like this, if I was Fed president and my job is in jeopardy and I'm getting bullied by the presidents, it's a very high stress job. I mean, ABC says buy silver. So an interesting thing to look up and research is the Dow silver ratio, as well as the Dow gold ratio. But this is the Yale Club. Bezos actually comes in and out of here sometimes. Melees is peace and unity and be kind to one another. Raul M says, true. John L, good to see ya. Cosmo says, I'm a Green Party supporter. Cosmo, who is the leader of the Green Party? I don't even know. I'm actually trying to think. Camera up to the building so you can see the lights. Hey, Fernando Morris says, thank you. We'll definitely pack a coat or two. I'm excited to know the city. Greetings from Mexico. Hey, awesome, dude. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, so Mexico is hit or miss. I mean, Mexico is hit or miss. March is hit or miss. So you're coming in March. The weather in March is very hit or miss, right? In New York, it's like totally crazy. One day you could have 65 degrees, it'll be sunny out, and then the next day it'll be like 30 degrees, snowing, mix of rain. It's horrible. So definitely pack for all seasons. I'd pack for spring, winter, summer, and fall, especially if you're coming here in March. But please have a good time when you come. Stephanie Stanley says the Yale Club rooftop is awesome. Really? Dang. I want to go there now. Ren10 says, Tom, you are too popular now. Comments are going nuts. Ren10, good to see you. And thank you for being here. So if anybody wants to invite me to the Yale Club rooftop, I'm open to any invitations. I'm open to anything. If anybody wants to invite me to the Yale Club, if anybody would like to invite me to the Yale Club, my email is in the description of the video. The Swan is joining us from Ireland. Good to see you. Jonathan Richards says, I agree. Jerome Powell's in a tough spot. You know, I'm just surprised. Well, I'm not too surprised. I think we did a stream about this where I was certain that Biden was going to re-nominate Jerome Powell. But then again, I was also surprised that Biden didn't cave in and nominate somebody else that the Democrats were really pushing. Because one of my good buddies made a good point. You know, Biden wants to distance himself from anybody who was that has to do with Trump. So that's why I thought Jerome Powell may have gotten the boot. But I think it was a good decision by Biden politically to re-nominate Jerome Powell. So now we are Park Avenue. This is the real Wall Street right here, Park Avenue. Lemonades is the Yale Club or any other swanky club in the city. Agreed. Hey, Dean M is here. What's up, Dean? Good to see you. Thank you for joining, Dean. Good to see you, my friend. Mike S. says St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York City is always cold but fun. Agreed. Photos from around New York says, Tom, I think you could rent out the Yale Club if you'd like. DWG, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. Life, Liberty, and Guns says May is the best in New York City. Agreed with that. May is my birthday month. So I'll take you guys to my favorite building in the city, which is the Seagram Building. It is my favorite here. Also, JP Morgan Chase is building a brand new office tower right here on Park Avenue. It should be amazing once it's complete. But a lot of the major financial firms, the hedge funds on Wall Street, you know, ever since things have, all the trading is really algorithmic now. So if you think about the New York Stock Exchange, it's really just a TV studio. Very, very low amounts of trading volume actually go on at the New York Stock Exchange. So a lot of the Wall Street firms have actually migrated north on Park Avenue here. So a lot of the big investment banks, hedge funds, private equity firms are right here. So this is going to be the brand new JP Morgan Chase building. It's kind of crazy to see what this structure looks like. I mean, this thing looks wild. Kev for Prez, good to see you. I'm not sure what that is, Kev for Prez. Yeah, lots of steel. Dutchman says, Tom, what month or day is your birthday? My birthday is May 25th. Zilch, good to see you, my friend. DJ Gaz says, New York doesn't really live up to the saying, which is New York never sleeps, it's dead. So DJ Gaz, Park Avenue is mainly all office buildings. So there's really going to be nobody here because not many people live here. It's a lot of offices and things like that. And it's also a Sunday, and I believe it's almost 10:30 at night. So that's why there's no people on the street here at Park Avenue. But during the day, especially pre-COVID, a lot of people here. This is the financial capital of the world right here. Hey, John says track 29. Could I give you, what's going on, John? Faith says, says, Tom, what is your zodiac? I have no idea. Unfortunately. Gemini, says Penelope. So we haven't been here in a long time on the stream. We're about to pass our favorite statue of Cause, which is coming up on the left, which is this massive statue here. At my old company, when I used to work on 6th Avenue, we used to have this exact statue of Cause, by Cause, but we had one in black, but this one is pink. So leave a like on this video if you like this thing. Yeah, a lot of people call it to Elmo. KWN says 432 Park Avenue is a disaster. Right you are, it is a disaster. Total unmitigated disaster. There's actually a lot of civil lawsuits from a lot of the billionaires that bought apartments or condominiums in 432 Park Avenue because there's just so many things that are wrong with the building. So, right you are. A lot of people complain about the crazy amount of noise that comes from the building swaying back and forth. The elevators sometimes don't work. There's always rolling blackouts in the building. So you're right. Horrible. Hey, Dr. Victor is here. So say hello to Brazil. Hello, Dr. Victor from Brazil. Good to see you. And thank you for joining. Hey, Tatiana Lidiara says the art is amazing. We're approaching the Seagram Building, which is this building right here. Right there. So this is East 50th Street and Park Avenue. Weston Mass Dave says, Tom, did you get a lot of noise at your old apartment? So surprisingly, I didn't. So at my old apartment here in New York City, all the windows were soundproofed. So it was extremely silent. So in order for me to go to sleep, I actually had to open all the windows. Wow, these American flags look fantastic here. Love that. Love these American flags right here. The golden goose of capitalism. Jonathan Richards says the Seagram Building is amazing. Dude, it's my favorite building of all time. And the reason for that is because when I used to work right around the corner from here, I always used to have lunch right at the Seagram Building, and it's built so far away from the street. Like if you see this building right here, like the sidewalk is right on top of the building. But the Seagram Building is actually built, I'm not sure the exact distance it's built away from the street, but check it out. Hold on, I'll pull off to the side here. So this building is the Seagram Building with the fountains. Right here, so all with the lights on. This is the Seagram Building. Hey, Stevens is going to graduation on May 14th. Awesome, dude. Congrats. It's phenomenal. Hey, Denise is here. Says New York City local time, 10:54 p.m. Great stream tonight as always. Thank you, Denise. Zilt says, Tom, it's your birthday. I'm confused. No, my birthday is in May. In May. Olivia Iris says, what's your favorite building in New York City? Right here, we're looking at it. On the corner of 52nd Street, 52 Park Avenue, right here. The Seagram Building. Yeah, photos from around New York's like they turn back on the fountains. So during Christmas time, they empty all the water out of the fountains and they put probably like 50 Christmas trees in each one. And it looks amazing. It's all lit up. But so now that you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Look at how far away the building is built from the street. It's fantastic here. So when you walk out of your office, you get an amazing view of the city. And even better yet, you get an amazing view of 432 Park Avenue. And when you look at the building, you could think about all the civil lawsuits and the litigation, and just think about all the money all these lawyers are going to make off of all the complaints on this building. So congratulations to all the lawyers that are dealing with that mess. Hey, Danny NYC, good to see you, Danny. So I would sit right here. My back would be right up against this. I would sit next to the water. The sun would be out. And I would have an amazing view of 432 Park Avenue. Great place. Gummy Bear says, Tom, what was the name of the crazy pizza review? So it was Joe and Pat's. Hilarious. So if you want a good laugh, I would go on YouTube and look at the Barstool Sports pizza review of Joe and Pat's. Really crazy. Yeah, Western Mass Dave says heaven, Tom. Yeah, this is a beautiful building, beautiful space right here between 53rd Street and 52nd. So the tenants of this building have all of this space to hang out. And this is the very main entrance. Hey, Arthur Perry says the Seagram Building is a beauty. You have a good eye and a good taste, Tom. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, and if you want to sit on the other side, you have a beautiful view of One Vanderbilt right here. So this is my favorite building in the city. Hey, Vane Chung is here. Hey, Vane, good to see you. Jonathan Richards' lunch at Seagram is like breakfast at Tiffany's. Potentially even better. So 375 Park Avenue, the Seagram Building, my favorite building here. Yeah, let me know if the focus is out of whack here. Can you guys read this? Hey, Brads, is it residential or commercial? So this is a commercial building, a lot of office spaces in here. And this is a big dining hall. You know, I actually used to think, I think this used to be a restaurant. They may have reopened it. Wow, check out how beautiful it looks in here. I don't think you guys could see it because of the glare on the camera, but man, I would love to work in this building. Hey, Andy's here from South Korea. Good to see you. Good to see you, Andy. Marco is here from Brazil. Yeah, but this place looks really good here. And this is why I like the Seagram Building. You could, on a summer day, take a break, sit down over here. I mean, I'm giving the Seagram Building a lot of free press. So if they're trying to sign leases, if you want to hire me as a contractor, I think I could sell the hell out of this building. Al Baker's is on the plaque. Did it say the year it was built? I gotta check. We'll check it out right now. Let me see. All right, so we will head out. We gotta head back down to the Moynihan train station anyway. So I'll give you guys one last shot of the MetLife building as well as One Vanderbilt. Hey, Bobby Michaels is here. Good to see you, Bobby. Enzo says, Tom, where is the Edge building? The Edge is... The Edge. I'm blanking on the name. The Edge is at Hudson Yards. Wow, check that out. I believe this is all lit up for the Ukraine. Wow, it looks great. Hey, Eyeglass Lady says, Tom, could ice to someone that lives at the North Pole? Oh, Tom could sell ice to someone that lives in the North Pole. Funny. I love that building. It's phenomenal, fantastic building. Wow, we've already been streaming for almost 2.5 hours. Oof. Hey, Sam is here. What's up, Sam? Sam is our friend from Toronto, Canada. Good to see you, Sam. We're walking down Park Avenue tonight. Beautiful night. We covered a lot on the stream. We covered a lot. We talked about the Russia-Ukraine situation affecting the commodities markets and also global equities, not only U.S. but emerging markets as well. We talked about briefly Target is reporting earnings. We have Costco as well as Best Buy reporting earnings this week. And we also will have the pleasure of hearing from OPEC. That should be a disaster, but it should be interesting. So we'll keep an eye on that. This is a beautiful church here. Hey, Mark Lee is here. Says, is the MetLife building the old Pan Am building? I think so. Elliott wave. Let's check out Bloomberg. Let's see what we got going on here. Looks like we got Bitcoin at $37,888, Ethereum at $2,615. There we go, the champ. Let's go. Ukraine holds steady. Fight on, my friends. We're probably going to get a copyright from Michael Bloomberg, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, right? I think it's worth it. Wow, this is a great shot. Check this out. So you got all the American flags with the MetLife building in the background. Phenomenal. Hey, Harcall says, hello from Naples. I love this building also. Thank you. Hey, Gummy Bear says, Tom, I just watched the Joe and Pat's review. Phenomenal. Hilarious. Troy 1995 says, Bloomberg should pay you for advertising the channel. Good to see you, Troy. Hope you're well. Yeah, Jonathan's like stunning shot with the flags in the background. Hey, Noah's here. What's up, Noah? Everything is going well with me. Noah is going to be making the move to New York rather soon from California. And I think you're going to move at the perfect time because winter is almost over. This is the New York Palace. Go harder, brothers. Do people in New York City have any idea how people in the countryside live? Yeah, of course. Of course. Wow. This is my favorite. This is my favorite piece of art of all time. By far. This is by far my favorite piece of art of all time. Man, look at all these old stock certificates here. If I ever make it big and start to make a ridiculous amount of money, I think this will be my first piece that I buy. It's so unique. I think that they should actually put this piece in a museum so everybody could enjoy it. But I mean, what a beautiful display here. Phenomenal. Alec Monopoly, I believe he's a Miami-based artist. You got the Mighty Bull, the Monopoly guy. Very cool, very interesting. I also like this one as well. I think this is very fitting for the times. This one is very, very nice too. Love this one. You know, I think this is the same piece that was in the Miami Art Gallery we streamed from. I think this is the same piece. The Pikachu with the Bitcoin logo. The butterflies. Wow, check out that Tasmanian Devil one too. That one's really nice. And Super Mario with the, I think that's another Bitcoin logo with Super Mario. No, are those NFTs? No, these are not NFTs. You can go in here, the Eden Fine Art Gallery. They're based in New York City, Miami, and London, I believe. So we'll make our way back down to the Moynihan train station. Can we just do a quick time check in the chat? I just want to make sure we are right on time making our train. $11.11. That's lucky. That's good. Okay, we're gonna cross over to 5th Avenue and then walk downtown. The Swans is 5 o'clock somewhere. But everybody, my phone is on 10% battery. So I will keep streaming till the phone dies, but I appreciate everybody joining tonight. I think we covered a lot. We had a great conversation. A lot of new people in the chat, so thank you everybody. I hope you had a great relaxing weekend. It's back to business once again on Monday. Crazy busy week on Wall Street. We'll cover everything, don't worry. We'll get it done. And if you want to join our Discord server where we can connect, please check it out in the link in this description. Also, please, if you want to support us on LinkedIn, we now are on LinkedIn. If you want to connect to the Behind the Street newsletter, we are on LinkedIn. And if you want to sign up to receive the newsletter. If you type !news, N-E-W-S, in the chat, the Nightbot will drop the link where you'll be able to read all of my equity research for free every single week. Wow, check that out. Empire's looking great from 5th Avenue. Hey, Jonathan Richards, awesome. We'll see you in there. John, thank you. Mike S., good to see you. Alan Wilson says, good night, see you tomorrow. I'll see you too. Thank you for being here. The Swan, the one and only. Jay, good to see you. Michael. Hey, Ferrero says, hello from Ecuador. Awesome. Hey, Faith, thank you for joining. Much appreciated, Faith. Lady OJ. Hey, Eric. Good to see you. We will have the skateboard back soon. Lily, Lemonade, appreciate it. Sunshine After Rain. Elizabeth, thank you for joining. Lily Ray, Latha, thank you for joining. Jay, appreciate it. John, Mike S., Pacific Desert Raid, Lady O, all of our moderators. Business Mail. This is good evening, Tom, from Edmonton. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining. Dutchman, thank you, my friend, for joining tonight. Roy S., appreciate it. Eyeglass Lady. Everybody, make it a great week. There's going to be a lot of positive, excellent things that happen this week, but only if you make it happen. And I believe in you guys. So we'll leave it off right here on the very famous, I think this guy's getting pulled over. That's not good. So on the very, very famous Diamond District, I'll leave everybody off with the beautiful view of the Empire State Building. Make it a great week, guys. Make it happen. And to the mighty bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there's always a bull market somewhere, and you just need to know where to look. I'll see everybody right back here, the greatest city in the world, tomorrow. Have a good one, everybody.